Morning. Beautiful day, a little bit nippy, but beautiful. There's your weather report. Welcome to the weather. There will be weather everywhere. So, and that's your weather report. It's sunny outside, I know, because I can see outside. So, I missed you guys yesterday. I took a little breather, as I do, as you guys know. But to a certain extent, I've stopped watching the last couple of days, watching what's going on at the commissions and with the presidents. I just catch the headlines, so I'm not going into the nitty-gritties. But yeah, I've got things I want to say, but I've got to be very careful how I say them. So I've had a lot of time to reflect on certain things that I've said on this podcast, and I just want to try and amplify what I've been saying about these primary politicians, but in my own space, in terms of things that I deal with here on a daily basis and things that I've realized. So let me talk about it in this sense, okay? So within my organization, I deal with and have been dealing with different people since I entered into recovery in 1997. I've been around these types of people, addicted people. And I've been around their family dynamics and in the police as well. You know, I've been around criminals and this type of thing most of my life. I've always been sort of doing my best to assist in the bad side of life. And then I also got involved in the bad side of life, and that's what I want to talk to you about. You see, what I've discovered in all of this, a guy will get into a situation that comes from a good background, good parents, had a good education, was doing things right, and got sidelined by the dark side, right, of life. But ultimately what happens to that individual that has come out of good genetics, good DNA, has had positive role models in his life, has had good teachers in his life, has had good mentors in his life, and somehow still found his way just drifting across the line into the bad side of life, right? 99.9% of those guys come back into the right way of life and the right way of thinking, of the vast majority. Look, I had a friend like that who came from a brilliant family, brilliant family, God-fearing, good people, multiple business owners, and he just never came back. But guys like that are the exception to the rule, right? And there was a major event in that guy's life that, hey, Vinny, how's it put? That, who else is here? Vinny, my boy. I'm talking about a mate of mine. His family also owned businesses, same as yours do, but in a different town. Also Portuguese people, great people. And he was my best China, and he just never could get out of it, you know, because of this trauma that he suffered. Well, I'll be honest with you guys. Him and his friend tried to pull a move on dealers, and it ended badly for his friend, and he never got over it. and couldn't get over it, and blamed God and blamed everything and blamed himself primarily for it. And he never got over it. And, turned his back on God, turned his back on society, turned his back on everything, and just refused to come back, because of this. He believed that he deserved to be punished for this death. And he punished himself to death. And it's very sad, but because I know what his genetics are, I know the character that was instilled in him by his family, I know their honest business sensibilities, good people, and it's sad. But that is the exception to the rule. Scum, on the other hand. Scum. I deal with scum every day. Scum. Let me give you an example of scum. The South African government. Scum, but scum. Scum are people that come from poor genetic stock, bad bloodlines, poor DNA, poor upbringing, poor education. And where they do have education, the genetics and the background and the upbringing counteract the education. There's very few people that are born scum that are able to ever walk away from being scum. And I see them in what I do every day as well. A guy will come in here, he's scum. We don't treat him like scum, we treat him like everybody else. Because we believe that miracles can take place, and very rarely they have taken place, where somehow scum have managed to descumify through the power of Jesus Christ. But intrinsically, what we found is, and I see it around this country, is that what scum tried to do is, scum know they're scum. Believe me. Scum know that they're scum. Right? And in their scummy minds, scum believe that what descummifies them is money. This is what they think. They think that if they make enough money and they buy big enough houses and they drive expensive enough cars and they eat at the most expensive restaurants. Have you ever been to a really exclusive restaurant? Hey? And you're not one of those restaurants where you have to dress to go. I've been fortunate enough to be invited to a few, and I've gone to a few myself, where you've got to dress, you've got to have a collar, some places, even a tie. Some places, they even keep jackets in the front. The maitre d' will say to you, "Sir, do you have a jacket?" I'm saying, "Sorry, sir, I don't. I didn't realize it was a requirement." And he said, "Don't worry, sir, just come with me, and he'll fit you a jacket right there." And you put the jacket on, and you go into the restaurant. And then what you must do in an exclusive restaurant like that, have a look around and watch the people, because that's a pastime of mine. I'm a people watcher. I'm a bit of a voyeur, if you will. I just don't enjoy the peeping through bedroom windows part of it. But look around that restaurant, and you will quickly identify who has class, who comes from good upbringing, and who are mutton dressed up as a lamb. The scumminess just comes out. The scumminess comes out. The minute a few drinks have happened, the scumminess comes to the surface. The minute there's a problem with an order, you'll see what scum love to do. Scum love to give waiters and managers and maitre d's and chefs as much hell as they can over certain orders that they order. Even if the order is perfect, they will complain about the order in order that they can enforce their will upon someone else that cannot respond to them, because they're in the service industry, and in the service industry and hospitality, primarily the customer is always right. But scum will make a scene. Scum will insist that things are not the way they should be, because scum needs to, scum try and always force their way to the top. They always have this need to be validated through their wealth, through their houses, through their cars, through their bank accounts, I don't know if you guys ever watched that movie Caddyshack. And Rodney Dangerfield played a billionaire scumbag, quite frankly. This is how they are. This is how they are. And you can see it. And let me tell you one thing that wealthy scum fear the most. Do you want to know? Losing their wealth. Because they know without their wealth, they're just normal scum, and normal scum are just that. And then another thing that scum struggle with, scum really struggle with this, you'll notice this, all right, that in classy circles, people that are good breeding, good stock, old money maybe, who can also be scum, but generally over generations they manage to remove the scum quotient from their bloodlines. They marry smartly, and they bring class into their bloodlines, and they slowly through generations remove that scum bloodline out of their bloodlines, right? But scum can't understand why it doesn't matter how much money they have and who they perceive themselves to be within their other rich, scummy friendship circles. When they go into classy environments and are immediately ostracized and are immediately put in the corner, the kiddies' corner, and why people of class don't invite them to dinners and cocktail parties and things. Because what scum will do is they'll wangle their way into one of these things through their finance, like they'll offer to donate a couple of million to a foundation just to get their foot in the door so that they can start mixing with the classy people who are, through their benefaction and benevolence, attempting to do something, for the right reasons, because they're out there. There's good people out there that have a lot of money that really try to do their best to help improve the planet as best they can, right? And they often have these charities and dinners and golf days and things like that to try and uplift the poor. And what scum will do is that they will donate large amounts of money or produce or product to these endeavors, not because they intrinsically are concerned about where that is going, but in order that they can present a facade of goodliness, and ultimately so that they can get their foot in the door with a view to making connections and network for future business ventures. It's got nothing to do with the charity. It's got nothing to do with anything other than to try and forward their own ends by making connections that they perceive they can make within these opportunities to rub shoulders with class. But class has an intrinsic genetic predisposition in that class can identify scum from far. When scum arrives, class already knows it's scum by the way they arrive. and the manner in which they enter, and the manner in which they approach. You know, scum is usually verbose. Scum is usually very braggart-like. Scum wants everyone to know how rich scum is. Scum wants everyone to know what its past perceived victories may or may not have been. Scum will always tell big stories about things that, in all likelihood, not only didn't happen like that, and in very many cases didn't happen at all. You know, and class, you'll see that class is always very reserved. Class likes to keep its cards close. Class doesn't need to brag. Class is the type of person who people are waiting for to arrive because they know it's class. And this is the thing with scum. And then they get angry, you know, and they get angry because class doesn't accept them. Class just doesn't accept them. And so what you have is these entities of scum that believe that with their financial gains, and because other scum are telling them how great they are, that they are now class. You know? But I'm sorry for you, scum. I'm sorry. Because I'm not saying that I'm class. I'm not saying that I'm class. I'm also not saying that I'm scum. But I've had the opportunity in what I do. And I've had the opportunity because of the way, if necessary, I can articulate myself within circles of people. And I've had the opportunity, and still do often have the opportunity, to mix with both class and with scum. You know? And what I realize about scum, man, is that although they know they're scum, they can never accept that they're scum. You know? You look at what's happening now in all these commissions and in our municipalities and all these types of things. And let's talk about what happened at the White House. You know, I'm not saying that Donald Trump per se is class, but he comes from class. But I know that other people in that room are class, that were there were class. And business leaders and that from America that were in that room. And let me tell you how they identified scum. First of all, scum always arrives late. Scum always arrives late. If you have an appointment at 11 o'clock, scum will arrive at 20 past 11. Because scum doesn't understand that scum's time isn't more valuable than everybody else's time. You see, scum pitches up when scum wants to pitch up. Because scum always believes that it's always about scum. So when you've got the president of the free world waiting for you, you arrive late. Because in scum's mind, arriving late indicates some level of class, that the leader of the free world had to wait for you, and therefore you are elevated above him in some way. Class would have dictated that you are there at a bare minimum 15 minutes before, even if you must park down the road with your entourage, so that when they call you and they say the President of the United States is ready to see you now, your chauffeur can start the car and drive straight up to the door. Not the President of the United States is waiting to see you and you are 30 minutes late, boss. That's how scum operate. That's how those people in that room at the White House already knew they were dealing with scum. And already had aligned their thinking within that 30 minutes exactly how they were going to approach that meeting. We're not dealing with diplomats. We're not dealing with leaders of nations here. We're not dealing with anything else. We are dealing with scum, and we are going to treat them thus as scum. And that's the way the meeting went. Am I right or am I wrong? And within our own contingent, some of the class there, the golfers, the billionaires, had to step in and sideline scum and try and intervene class on class. Tell me I'm wrong. You see, you can't eliminate it from the blood, my friend. It's genetic. Just like a lion can smell an antelope, class can smell scum. So please understand, it doesn't matter if you've got a 4 million rand outfit on. Class can smell under the outfit. It sees you. And you're still scum. And you'll always be scum. And I want you to know that. You know? Scum can never admit when it's wrong. Because in scum's mind, scum believes that if it admits that it's wrong, that it will expose itself as scum. Meanwhile, not understanding that class dictates that you take responsibility for your mistakes. That's what classy people do. That's how I was wrong. Let's fix it. Scum will never admit it's wrong. Scum will fight you to the death to prove that it's right, even when it knows that it's wrong. I present to you our esteemed president. I present to you other members of parliament, particularly one from Cape Town. Scum stays scumhood. They disguise their scumhood with words like, we from the people. No, there's poor people that are absolute class. Absolute class. And they want to have enough to live, but they don't need the money to cover up their genetic low-grade bloodlines. They're still class. And you'll see people like that, poor people that have class. Wealthy people that have class, recognize them. And wealthy people that have class, invite them in. And wealthy people that have class, try and uplift them. And sometimes scum tries to cover itself up and present itself as class. And sometimes classy people, right in the early stages, can be manipulated to a certain degree. But ultimately, as the road continues, they will expose that these people are not class, and these people will be ostracized. You can see it in your own country happening right in front of you. The ANC presented itself as class to the world, as this bunch of classy people that were fighting for the rights of the enslaved South Africa who was suffering under the boot of apartheid. They presented themselves as class. They presented themselves as people who were fighting for the cause, class, that were sacrificing themselves and being exiled from their own homeland due to this Nazi regime. But as time is going on, first of all, what they were presenting to the world is being exposed daily from back in the day. Lavish parties and orgies and all kinds of things that were going on in London with ANC leaders while people here were going to prison and being interrogated and tortured by the security police and being murdered by death squads. The leadership were living the high life, presenting themselves as class. And unfortunately, what's happened is that lack of class has permeated into the leadership we have now. They have no class. They're scum, and you can see that by the way they fight. When the evidence is overwhelming through lying and manipulation, they still continue to try and convince you that you're not seeing. Yeah, 100%. Andrew, I'm not going to say it here. People that read the comments will see what you said. Spot on, brother. Thanks for reminding me, Andrew. Oh, sorry, Mark. I saw your second name. I'll call you M.A. Exactly. Exactly right. Exactly right. Doesn't matter how much money that Oak's got, bro. We all know. You can wear, I mean, you see that Oak, he's wearing, let's say, I don't know what suits cost anymore. I don't wear suits. But I would guess a suit like he wears would cost anything from 30 grand to 150 grand. Best suits, best shirts, best ties, best belts, best pants, best watch, best car. But when he stands in front of you, the suit doesn't fit properly. The belt doesn't fit right. The watch looks out of place. The shoes look out of place. You can't get in and out of the car correctly. And then he opens his mouth and you know exactly. You're dealing with scum, but straight out scum. Straight out. I've been saying it for how long? Can't fool me, bro. You can't fool me. I've moved with scum long enough in my life. In fact, at one point I would even believe that I was scum. I was scum. But you know what? I want to tell you this. The genetics came through later in life. Praise God for my ancestors and their genetics. Praise God for that, bro. Because otherwise I would have been trapped. I would have been trapped, bro. And we've had this recently happening in our personal space, where people have been exposed. And instead of admitting that you've been caught, bro, not only do you lie about it, but your entire family tries to help you to lie about it. You know? And I want you to know, you scum. You scum, bro. Doesn't matter how many businesses you own. Doesn't matter how much money you've got. Doesn't matter, bro. You are resigned to a life of being scum. Because unfortunately, it's in your genetics. And you will never be accepted by class. And that's why you're battling. That's why you're battling. Because you can't understand, with all the trappings of success, why no one still wants to accept you, except others scum. Lekker. Have a fantastic day, guys. I've got a lekker day planned tomorrow. My friend bought a new bike and he wants to run it in. So I'm going to take him on we're going to go together on a run-in ride. And I'll do my best to film it and put it up here. Have a phenomenal weekend. God bless you guys. And please, if you like what you hear, if you don't like what you hear, please share these messages and like, share, and if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. God bless. Cheerio.